Hello, and welcome to Lands Unknown. My name is Will, and today we are welcoming back Bib of Laridion. Hello, Bib.
Hello, and you'll have to excuse once again that I do not have a physical form because my camera is yet again misbehaving.
You're a floating book in the void.
Yes,
Because a Biblaridion is a little book, right? The diminutive
yeah,
of book. Yes,
it is
excellent.
the word for book with three diminutives on
Three diminutives.
it. Because it was originally it was Byblos, which was the place in, I believe, Lebanon where they got the
Mm.
papyrus for making books. And through metonymy, you called a book a Byblos, as in something that came from Byblos. Then
Ah.
that became a diminutive, became Biblion, which is a little thing from Byblos, like a book. And
Yeah.
then that got another diminutive to become Biblarion, which would be a little book. But then that became semantically bleached to just mean any old book. So they needed a new term for a little book. So they put a third diminutive on it to become Biblaridion.
Excellent. This is wonderful. Oh, hello, Kate, Supernatural Ecology. Matthew's awesome. Kate, you got a book in the mail. Which book did you get? While we're waiting on Kate. Yes, Speculative Evolution is pretty good.
It is.
Hello, not Dane Hart.
Hello.
And then we've got, yes, excellent. There will be lots of nerding. I think we're doing feeding styles and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And you just did realms for your planet. That's wonderful. I don't know. I don't know how many spec bio projects have outlined the different realms they have.
I I mean something that I like the way that Terra has ended up in the modern day. I think it
Hmm.
works very well. But some I if I could go back, I might break up the supercontinent a little bit more, just
Yeah.
because we have like the supercontinent, and then we have Septentria, the one island continent, and
Yeah.
those are like the only two. Obviously, there are like divisions and allopatric separations within the supercontinent, but for the most part, it's like pretty homogenous.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. When I was putting it together, I was specifically trying to create the different ecotones and barriers to
Hmm.
have like some distinct realms even within it.
Yeah.
Because the beast came, yes, because the beast came is Madeline James, friend of the live stream, um, her debut novel. And I read it before it was published, and I think it's quite good. I was over on
Yeah.
Madeline's channel interviewing her about the world building on that, so you can go check
Mhm.
that out.
If my camera was working, I would be holding up my copy right now.
I've got it on my what on yeah, I've got it on this thing, but I do have an actual copy that's coming, so I have to check that out. Got a few other people. Oh, Nathan, first time watching. Wow, welcome to the live.
Mhm.
Welcome to Lands Unknown. They'll become slightly more known. You have a question. How do you start your Spec Evo project? I think that's I'm definitely going to do a footnote on that, but after I finish sort of a handful of the videos, I think coming up with your parameters and your goals and what you'd
Mhm.
like to do is probably the first step because
Yeah.
what I'm doing in on Dove, where there's a lot of like convergent evolution and kind of working off of different morphs and kind of different lineages because like the dragons are you know heavily inspired by like Scanscorioptids that we've found in China, right?
Mhm.
um Monotremes, kind of the monotrematiforms are you know based on monotremes that we have and things like that. uh so if you're wanting to do speculative evolution, either like an alternate timeline or taking things that we've seen and kind of speculating out from that in a different environment, like a seed world, that'll be quite different than the kind of planning you'll have to do for something like Tira.
Mm.
How'd you plan for Tira, Bib?
Well, yeah, my short answer to the question would be, yeah, number one, establish what your goals are. Number two, work out what the abiotic factors are. Things like what the world is like in terms of its geography and climate and, you know, solar radiation per unit area, etc., however much detail you want to go into. And number three, yeah, if you're specifically doing an alien world, or to use a conlanking term, an a priori world that has no connection to our real world, if you want to call it that, then to my mind, the absolute number one most important step that you should do as early as possible is to establish what your body plans are.
Yeah.
Because absolutely every single, well, specifically within the animals, but every single animal species is just going to be ultimately a modification of a fundamental body plan. And if you don't nail down the body plans first, if you just start, creating creatures willy nilly and not paying attention to the anatomy and physiology and the layout of all the body structures, then you can very easily, it can turn into a big mess very quickly. And then you're going to have to go back and retcon a bunch of stuff and try and sort of force it to fit into some sort of greater structure, which is always an absolute pain. And it is the single simplest and easiest way to tell whether or not any thought has been put into an alien world is just to look, is there any evidence of body plans? And this is something that you can assess, in a matter of seconds, and you don't even need any like training in biology to do it. You just, if you look at a planet from, I don't know, Star Wars or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at, two organisms that are supposed to be from the same planet, and if they have just radically different numbers of eyes and legs and different, layout of body structures, etc., then just immediately you can tell, okay, well, there was no greater thought put into this, which is fine if that's your goal. Like if you don't care about the feasibility of homology and how all these things relate, if you just want to have a cool world with fun animals, then that's completely fine as long as that's your goal, which you hopefully establish in step one.
Yeah. And like for Dove in particular, right? Like I wanted to have humans because part of the goal of the project is to talk about, the social sciences through world building. So, in order to do that, we need humans, or legally distinct humans in this case, the Dovians. And that kind of puts a limitation on the kind of body plans and things you can do, right? You need something like mammals. So, and I also wanted a degree of familiarity, but something that was just a little different, to kind of signpost that, we are in the realm of speculation. So it's like, that's kind of, we're talking about goals. You're not just thinking about, I want to make some alien critters or like do some cool creature designs. Like, what do you want the project to be for? And that can change over time, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone's making monotremes these days. Yeah, it definitely feels like it.
Everyone should make monotremes these days.
They are
Monotremes
quite fun.
Very cool animals.
Yeah. And we're, I think we're getting more and more insight into what monotremes used to look like, which is always fun. Jake, lands partially described. Star Wars, the giant woolly mammoth like things on Tatooine, but they're no similarly sized creatures with fur. Yeah, what are? Oh, the little guys kind of ride on, or the Jawas. No, the Tusken Raiders ride on the woolly guys.
I am not overly familiar with Star Wars, but
I
That
think we just
sounds right.
exhausted most of my Star Wars. um, because on the deserty planet, there's these big lizard guys that the stormtroopers ride around on, and then there's the raiders ride around on the other things.
I I think it's yeah. So on, I'm pretty sure it's Tatooine. You have the crate dragons, and there's two different species of crate dragons, and one of them looks very much like a tetrapod. It just looks like a large sort of lizard-like thing,
Eh,
whereas the other species of crate dragon has, I think, 10 legs and
what?
is like over 100 meters longer. And it's just you look at them and there's like, how are these? Unless biology on Tatooine works in some fundamentally different way than it does as we would understand it, there's no reason that this should make any sense.
Oh, the banthas. Okay, bantha. Bully guys are banthas. Neat. And the last thing that we're going to look at is the hammer-headed bat. Hammer-headed bat. And speaking of books, I have been reading, what is it? Murderbot. I've been enjoying the Murderbot series.
I have heard of it, but know little about it.
It is,
Hammer-headed bat.
it is quite. Oh,
Yeah,
see, not
that's
what
the
I was
one.
expecting from a hammer-headed bat. I was thinking like a hammer-headed shark, but it, the face looks like he hit something with a hammer, or he hit
Yeah,
something with his face. I see it. They're big little guys.
I believe they are megabats.
Mega bats.
Yeah.
They're like they're a fruit bat then, yes.
Largely, yeah.
Oh, mega bat. Neat. Frugivorous. There we go.
Mhm.
Mangoes. I guess if I was a bat, I would certainly be a fruit bat.
Hypsignathus monstrosus.
Hypsignathus monstrosus. That sounds like a dinosaur. If I just heard that offhand, I would think that's a dinosaur. If I just heard Hypsignathus monstrosus.
I mean, I think monstrosus is a bit unfair, but
Yeah. What's Hypsignathus mean?
Hypsi is raised or elevated, and Gnathus is jaw.
Raised jaw monster. See?
Yeah, monstrous raised jaw.
Yeah, see, that is totally a dinosaur name. They did this bat dirty. All right, now I got to get back to here. Okay, so now that we have suitably, what is it? That's a cold open, I guess. All right. Last time we introduced the suchiformes, which the common name for these creatures is going to be Gryphons. Um, they are they emerge from amphibian-like creatures, and in addition to their teeth fusing together to kind of form a pseudobeak on the top of the mouth in the sort of ancestral form here. Something else that is going to be unique about this entire group is that they are male brooding, and this is something we spent a decent amount of time on last time. They live in transmetrine Zalea, and transmetrine here means on the eastern side of the Metrades. So they live largely over here. There are some groups that live beyond that. The marine species is going to live in many different marine realms. And then there's going to be a couple groups, maybe, I don't know how this will pan out, that are smaller, more rodent or, little reptile like, that are going to be more prolific. But yeah, let's get into their main groups here. So we need,
Yes.
we're gonna We can use this space, I guess. So starting kind of at the top of the group, we've got our little guy. Maybe I can make another little guy. There we go. He's up here. And we've been talking about a couple different beak structures, and I guess we'll get into the kind of feeding styles that they'll have. One of those is the parrotfish like mouth, like this guy here, who I doodled up after our last stream. That would be, let's put them over here for now. And I'm thinking this would be like fused teeth specifically on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about the Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apoa'a, the reef triggerfish.
Yes.
And we're also talking about parrotfish. And I think both of them eat algae and things off rocks and coral and seagrass meadows. So I think that would be good for like if I'm imagining like an early critter living through a mass die-off, evolving to eat moss and lichens and other things like that off of rocks would probably be a pretty decent food source to keep them going through those tough times.
The triggerfish, I know, again, I can't remember if it's, I should have looked this up after last time, but I can't remember if it's specifically the reef triggerfish, but one of the triggerfish has adaptations for dirophagy. So they specifically use their teeth to break open hard shells of mollusks and bivalves. So if we had something that has this fused, very robust beak, two things that immediately come to mind is that would be pretty good at masticating tough woody vegetation.
Yeah.
So you could, this could be that could be a successful lineage of herbivores that comes from this line,
Yes.
specifically like folivorous herbivores, and maybe even some like xylophagous herbivores, things that eat wood or other like really hard.
Yes, I was definitely thinking about that. And I was also, because the metamorphflora that are very prolific on Dove, to help deal with, because the planet is colder, there is overall less precipitation. However, because there's less because it's colder, there's also less evaporation. So soils are moister in many areas, particularly in the subtropics. The soils are moister even if there's less precipitation. But the metamorphflora are many of them are evergreen, and they have features similar to succulents. Succulents are kind of one of the main different groups of succulents are kind of the main inspiration, and they tend to be more tough. So I do think that this kind of mouth structure would be better at grinding that up.
There could be like some species could be specifically adapted to feeding on like plants that have adaptations for aridity and have these tough hardened cuticles to prevent transpiration and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then I was also thinking that because these original critters up here are omnivorous, so these guys could also develop towards breaking open various things as well. I was thinking about like nuts,
Oh, sure, yes.
like
Nuts and seeds and things of that nature.
breaking. Yeah, so breaking open like nuts and seeds, and then I was also considering them breaking open like hard-shelled creatures.
Mm. Mm.
And I think the oceans I'm thinking are going to be very mollusky.
Mm.
So you know, having in the shallows maybe like yeah, just in littoral environments and in freshwater environments, like having a lot of uh, you know I haven't gone through the process of developing these yet, but a lot of hard-shelled,
Sure.
soft-bodied creatures that they could break open. So we could have
Mhm.
herbivores that are eating, uh, was it like the frulivorous? Because they're eating like, oh, eating the various metamorphora leaves and those sorts of things. They can eat
Mhm.
nuts and seeds. I don't know what I'm specifically thinking of like larger nuts, but what yeah, I'm not sure what the particular term is for that eating style, but um,
Um,
I may have written it down in a note.
I should know this. Why is this not coming to mind? Um,
What do we got?
Granivory.
Granivory. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. Durophagy. Nice. That's the
Yeah, durophagy
duro
is like
durophagy. Okay.
eating hard things.
And then what was the other one?
Uh, Granivory is eating seeds.
Granivory. All right.
And as a just another thing I can throw in under durophagy, a
Mm-hmm.
subtype of that, if you've already got this structure that's very well adapted to breaking open hard food items, then another thing you can do with that is osteophagy, as in eating bones,
Bones.
which, yeah, not
Yeah.
particularly common, but it does happen in things like hyenas and I can never remember the specific name of the vulture that does this. Is it the bearded vulture? I think it's the bearded vulture that
Oh
has,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it like carries off bones, and it has a very highly acidic uh stomach acid to help get as much goodness as possible out of bones and other stuff.
Is there a botanical difference between nuts and seeds?
I should know this, but I think the only distinction is that no, I'm getting mixed up because there's nuts, seeds, and legumes,
Yeah.
and they're all like a peanut is not a nut. I know that,
Yeah.
but I couldn't tell you why. It's been I did take a plant plant science course, but plants are definitely not my specialty.
A nut is a fruit. Okay. Good to know. And I guess a seed is a part of a fruit. It is the plant structure
Yes.
containing the embryo.
Yes, so that's the part. The seed is the thing that actually develops into the new plant, whereas a nut, yes, is a type of hard-shelled fruit that
And
contains the seed.
I think usually the endocarp of like the nut is the nutrients for the seed. And then they
Mm,
have a hard shelled exterior to protect the endocarp from things that would like to eat it, um, to then help the seed grow.
yes.
Meanwhile, the endocarp structure in like culinary fruits went the other way and was like, well, if you're going to eat me, you might as well enjoy it and disperse me. Um,
Yeah, this is giving me flashbacks to my plant science course where the essay question on the final, well, one of the essay questions on the final exam was just describe an apple.
Oh God.
And that was just the whole question.
In a true nut, the shell doesn't open to release the seed, per Wikipedia. Yeah, because the I guess the point is to protect it. Um, that's good to know. Yeah, so for the Metamorphlora, the original uh, group of Metamorphlora were essentially nut bearing, but not, and I guess the majority of them would be true nuts. Uh, but then there were multiple instances in that group where they developed fruits, and that first started in Arukia with the blue dragons, and then spread out from there. So the these guys would have been acquainted first with Metamorphlora nuts before they were acquainted with the fruits. So the nuts make sense. So we've got these parrotfish beaks, and I do really like that we'll have a group of herbivores, and I imagine like having like these mega herbivores or like these herds of parrot beaked griffins roaming around, and then you have some like scavengers that crush up
Yeah.
bones that look different but are related. I do like that.
Yeah. It's always nice when you can justify like a variety of feeding behaviors.
Yeah, just having like the breaks in there, I think is nice. And speaking about granivory, one of the other ones I was thinking was very much like a that like rhynchosaur jaw.
The pseudo rodents.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see which group becomes the pseudo rodents, but because again, yeah, I haven't like. Yeah. So for the rhynchosaur jaw, it has the front two teeth are coming down, and then you have the front two bottom teeth coming up, kind of beside it. Let's see how small I can make that brush. And what this reminds me of is yeah, it's very rodenty to me. No, that's not going to look good. There we go. Something that I thought of because I was looking at the rhynchosaurs, and they're argued to be herbivorous, which I think is reasonable. One of the ideas is that their teeth are good for stripping leaves from ferns, which I think is interesting, and that could also be useful for eating certain types of metamorphlora. The other thing I was thinking of with these beaks was what was it, like the cross-billed birds that are eating seeds.
Cross build.
Yeah, let me bring that up. There we go. Look at him. See, his beak is kind of offset, and that helps them open seeds.
Oh right, yes. I have come across these.
And so
Yeah.
these guys would essentially have this structure, but they'd have one on each side. Right? Like they'd have
So like
two.
the upper teeth would splay out to accommodate the lower ones, or vice
Well, no,
versa.
the lower teeth. The lower teeth kind of do this splaying.
Yeah.
Let me go here. So like, if we're looking kind of front on, you have the upper teeth, and then the lower teeth kind of come out here. And so, if they get a seed in between their little beaks, then they can pop it open.
Yeah.
That was an idea. I think the other thing that Rhynchosaurs are said to eat is tubers.
I can, definitely see that.
So then this can be kind of where a bit of the burrowing kind of comes from. So if we have these burrowing guys eating seeds and tubers, and maybe some smaller plants, I'm thinking maybe like more fresh shoots and those sorts of things. Maybe they're eating roots and stuff like that.
Sure.
I mean, tubers are roots, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, that's new. So like smaller seeds in this case, where these ones are crushing larger nuts. Like a Brazil nut, I suppose. That was kind of my idea for those. What do we got down here? Pretty new Spec Evo. It's a bit weird for me. Learning things every second. This is, well, that's the fun part of, I guess, watching world building in real time.
I am glad that I can help teach things.
Yeah. Well, and I think like there's actually an article which I'd like to go through on the stream at some point because it is open access. There's an open access article that is about critical world building and the study of world building. And when I was reading that, they talked about how a lot of world building is either done by the author of a work on their own, and then you don't see them world building, you see the world, right? You don't see the process, you see the final product. But a lot of world building as a process is often done by the audience, where they have a finished text, and then they're interpreting the world building from the world. And of course, you do have world builders talk about their processes. If you've got like a convention or something and someone asks a question about how world building happens. But the authors are talking about how you don't often see the world building process as it happens. And when I was reading that article, I was like, well, what are you talking about? Like, we have YouTubers who have talked about their process. We have people live streaming world building. So, part of me wants to write a response piece or a development on that. Because we've got stuff like, we've got a variety of lives. We've got the world builder's log and stuff like that. So I think there's a decent amount of material, though I don't think it's as common.
So I guess it's still kind of not exactly niche, but I guess you kind of need to know what you're looking for to find it, I guess.
Yeah. And what were the other jaws? Oh, the fused bone jaws, like the not contemporary tuataras, but extinct ones, rhynchocephalians. Right.
Yes.
So we're gonna have our little. How am I doing the beaks? I don't know. Have a little beak. And that comes up and goes. These guys are just gonna look a little weird because I'm doing them quickly. We get it though. And so far as I've been doing them, they don't actually have like any like exposed mouth parts on the bottom. But when they open their mouths, so I guess maybe I'll open his mouth. Oh. Again, I've only started drawing and painting and stuff digitally for, I don't know, since last summer for the World Building Festival. So then he's going to have that come out and then just essentially have this single row of bone. Though I assume the bone can have different features, like it can be serrated, it can have grinding
Yeah,
pallets and things like
yeah.
that.
He usually is. Yeah, I believe acrodont is the standard word for the condition that rhynchocephalians have, where the teeth are kind of, yeah, as you say, in kind of one single sort of fused row, but there are still prominences along the length of it.
Yeah. There we go. These little weirdos. That looks better. I mean, his mouth probably closes a little weird, but that's fine.
It gets across the idea.
Yes. So we can see the teeth along here. I do know that some of the species I was looking at were herbivores, and they used the backs of these were more what like they're wider and they're like grinding surfaces like molars,
Yeah.
so they could process vegetation, and then
Mhm.
the front of their jaws they would use to like tear or shred
Sure.
the foliage from it. So we got more herbivores here.
I also really like anteaters. They are possibly my favorite mammals. The giant anteater specifically.
I also feel that you like ants. So ant
Yes,
eaters.
this is a big dilemma for me.
Yeah, I think ants are so
Mhm.
ants are very compelling.
They are the stuff that they get away with. Is like if I saw someone making a spec bio project and they were like, okay, I've got these animals, they're called ants, and these are all the things they could do. I would just say, you need to go back to the drawing board. This is way too crazy.
I think it's like, oh yeah, so this group they come from solitary. What was it? I think wasps and ants are in the same group, right? So it's like
Yeah.
they're solitary. They're a group of eusocial critters that are very small, but their biomass makes up like I don't know the
Yes.
majority of animals or some such
They have the
on land.
single largest social structure of any organism ever. With
Hmm.
the, I think it is it, which was the biggest one? I think it's the European super colony.
Yeah,
It's something like 10 quadrillion ants or something like that.
and they essentially like like humans, I guess they create their own
Mhm.
ecosystems around them and things evolve to them and
Yeah, they've got agriculture and they've got air conditioning and they've got like rafting and bridge
yeah.
building and they can just kind of do whatever they want.
I believe we mentioned wood as well for these like crushing structures.
Yes,
Yeah, wood.
beavers.
Nom, nom, nom. All right, so we've got, and I'll, I was sketching. I did a quick sketch of a carnivore. What was I working on? Where is he? There he is. Can I show him in his entirety? Uh, so yeah, so I have the idea that these, and I do like the idea of these being carnivores and having like various sharp sort of protrusions coming off. I think his head is very crocodilian. No, I guess it's her head, because there's no brood pouch on this one. So her head's very crocodilian, but and I've got like the very sharp, pokey outy osteoscutes on the outside.
Hmm.
And I guess this would be, I think there's a bunch of different like heraldic terms for griffins, like tiger and keithong and stuff like that. Specifically for ones without wings. So I'm playing around with those as well. And tiger in this case is spelled with a Y.
Ah.
Yeah, the horns. I do like the fin horns because there are some like heraldic griffins that have like these, I guess, tufts, feather tufts for their ears that punch forward. But I was thinking of just making them horns.
Very good.
Yeah. So we got herbivores here, and they're going to be shredding stuff. And I do like having, like if we do have these rhynchocephalian jawed creatures becoming like major carnivores, also having them being related to a group of larger herbivores as well is fun.
Hmm. Something that I'll say before I forget is just looking at that beak at the front,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about how it could be adapted for carnivory, and just with the picture that you showed, that something that just occurs to me, that a way it could be used, it makes me think a little bit of chasmatosaurs, which are these early crocodilomorphs that they look quite a lot like crocodiles, but they've got a very distinct kink in their upper jaw. CHASM, but that's probably gonna
It did not work.
CHASMATO.
Oh,
Not chasmosaur. That's a ceratopsian. Chasmatosaur. TO.
Chasmatosaurus.
Yes.
Hey, ooh.
Yeah. So if you look at the upper jaw, you can see that there's a very distinct sort of overbite where the end of the upper jaw kind of turns down very sharply, and they use that.
Yes.
Well, we use that sort of hook structure to like properly encircle the jaws around the thing that they were ambushing and helping to kind of restrain it. So if you had a sort of hooked beak type thing, that could achieve the same sort of effect.
Oh, they got him on Walking with Dinosaurs. All right, let's.
Yes, they were in the last episode of Walking with Monsters.
Oh, okay. I see how that works.
Mm.
Wonderful. Properly horrifying. And I'm also thinking we could have like, I don't know, maybe they use their front paws, like their forelimbs, to catch and kill things, and they just need
Yeah.
a beak for ripping out. So then they could, have shorter, more, I guess, raptorial kind of beaks.
Yeah, it's a question of how they sort of divide up, the function of the forelimbs versus the jaws in terms of, because with something like a crocodile,
Mm-hmm.
obviously it doesn't really have. I mean, it has forelimbs, but they're solely for the purpose of locomotion. Whereas, the jaws need to be long enough so that they can reach out of the water and grip the sometimes very large prey that they go after. And they also need to be strong enough so that they can properly restrain it, which is why crocodilians have the strongest bite force of any extant vertebrate. Whereas something like a tiger tigers, like most cats, have forelimbs with retractable claws, and that does the job of gripping and restraining, whereas the jaws are just for finishing it off. And so the
Hmm.
jaws of cats tend to be quite compressed or short.
Yeah, and I guess with raptors as well, they tend to like eagles and hawks and things like that. Like
Mhm.
they use their
Yeah.
the talons to
Yes.
grab stuff, so they don't
Mhm.
need
Which is a big pet peeve of mine. In a lot of I hesitate to say paleo media, but media that includes prehistoric animals. Whenever they include pterosaurs, like the Jurassic World movies do this, where they show
Mm.
the pterosaurs flying down and grabbing things with their feet and flying off with them, much like a bird of prey would do. But pterosaur feet just aren't adapted to do that. If you look at a pterosaur's foot, it's actually broadly similar to the way that a human foot is structured. Like the actual phalanges are really, really long,
Yeah.
and the digits are really short. They couldn't grab anything with that. So
No, yeah,
it
they
is
probably just
yeah, exactly. They've
use
got
their
a
beaks. Yeah,
big beak for that.
got some. Oh, back to ants. Uh, Megafauna including wolf-sized ants with raptorial
Blimey,
centralized front limbs. Oh, that's fun.
very cool.
Very cool. I did also highlight pink fairy armadillos because I think that would
Yes.
be a cool look for some of the rodent, like some of the little griffins.
Mhm.
They'd be very cute.
I do
Uh,
love pink fairy armadillos, or armadillos in general, or
yeah,
xenophons in general.
and we've got Walking with Dinosaurs, My Beloved, a great series.
Yes.
Walking with Monsters is pretty great too.
Yes. And Walking with Beasts, they're all
And Beasts, yeah.
very good. Walking with Monsters, I'm still upset that they only had 3 episodes instead of the 6 that they should have had.
I know. And then Kate, yes, the heraldic inspiration is specifically for the Zaalean Gryphons. So I do think that the tinctures for color names will be very cool to kind of distinguish the different groups. Meanwhile, the Rukian dragons are following the Dungeons and Dragons, currently the chromatic coloring scheme. So yeah, so using the heraldic tinctures would be good because I don't want to have red griffins and red dragons. I think that's too.
Yeah.
Yeah, having separate nomenclatures for the common names is also very useful. Thank you for the suggestion, Kate. Because I was thinking about, yeah, like using the different names for griffins as they exist in the heraldry because they have all sorts of different creatures that are combined together.
Mhm.
And the tinctures would be a cool addition. I'm just gonna check if I had any other kind of jaw types. Where are we going? And I would definitely, I do. At some point, I'm going to call something like a colored thing, and it's not going to be that color, and that's okay.
Mm.
Uh oh, Hyperodaption. Let's see about that.
So Hyperodapodon was one of the most prolific of the rhynchosaurs.
Yeah, because and it has the teeth coming out on the sides. I think we already covered that one. Oh, here we go. This is the Oranosaurus. That was one of the rhynchocephalians that had the fused bone,
Mhm.
um, and it has these modified rows at the bottom for crushing the hard-shelled organisms. So, I mean, everybody can eat hard things, if they so choose. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is kind of the fused or the extended front teeth of the pseudo beak in the ancestral version. I do want it looking more beaky, though. Well, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
oh,
I was thinking, yeah, one it could theoretically, if we start with that sort of Rinkosaur like starting point,
mhm.
um, the teeth, yeah, could potentially extend into a more sort of beaky like structure. And the thing that reminds me of is, have you read After Man by Dougal
Yeah,
Dixon?
that
Yeah,
was.
there's
They had a
mhm.
copy of After Man in my high school library.
Wow,
So that's when I
wow.
started getting into it because I saw these books, and I don't think, I don't know, when I was 15 or something, and I encountered Afterman, and then the other book that he did about dinosaurs,
The new dinosaurs,
the
yeah.
new dinosaurs. Like I was reading these, and I don't know, like it didn't click. Like I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at. So I was like, "Is this speculative?" Like I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know if it was speculative fiction or not.
Mm,
Um, I was just very, very confused. But that was like my introduction to spec bio and spec evo stuff.
yeah. I actually came across The Future is Wild before Afterman. Um, and specifically, I came across the American Animal Planet redub of The Future is
Yes,
Wild. Yeah,
I
and
was.
I so the actual original series, like they spend a decent portion of the first episode explaining the concept of speculative biology and saying that this is just, one possible future, just one way that we could potentially imagine things going based on what we see on Earth. But this is supposed to be just taken as like a thought experiment. Nothing about this is like, you know, this isn't supposed to have any kind of predictive power.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Animal Planet version, they scrapped all of that and they put in this super dramatic introduction where they're like, "Oh, we've assembled this top crack team of
Yes.
scientists who put forward this simulation. What you're about to see will," and it's just so, I don't know. That's
I saw that version uh when I think we were I don't know, when I was a kid we used to drive down, my family, we would all drive down to Florida. And that would take 2 days of driving, of just driving. And we would I think we had a family there, and we would who like migrated down from Canada, and we would was it I was because we didn't have Animal Planet in Canada. We had Discovery Channel, but they didn't always have the same stuff. So I remember like watching all of these American TV shows, and that was one of the ones I was watching in like a condo in Florida while like there was a hurricane outside. Um, so that was a formative spec evo memory.
sounds like a good time. Um, but yeah, the reason I bring up After Man is just the image occurred to me of there's one particular animal that he calls a trupial, which is
Trupial.
a yeah, T. I have no idea where he comes up with these names. I meant to ask him the last time I saw him at the Tetrapod Zoology Convention, but it's Truteal. Teal.
E- True teal?
Yeah, yeah. There we go. So it
Oh,
is
here we
an
go.
insectivore of some kind. Yeah, I think it's a shrew, and the incisors, or the front teeth of the top and lower jaw, have fused into this pointed beak that it uses to like probe through the soil to find, yeah, worms and bugs and things.
Excellent. All right. So I think this could be. Come on. There we go. This could be a way to go. I'm wondering, and you were saying for the more like rhynchocephalian. No, not rhynchosaur. The rhynchosaur kind of jaw,
Potentially, yeah. I think that would make
potentially.
sense.
And so, all right, let's reorganize some things. Oh, and hello, Writer 2. Glad you could make it.
Hello.
And all. I don't know. I'm thinking I'll probably if I'm going to use the tinctures. I may use it for scales. They may have different scale colors or something like that. The other thing I was thinking of doing, I don't necessarily remember offhand what it's called, but in heraldry, they have the different. I think it's like en passant and stuff like that, like the different positions that things are in. So I was thinking about using those for the naming conventions, the common naming conventions. Um, but I like Kate's suggestion of using the tinctures.
In one of my very old projects at this point, I this is before I bothered giving things scientific names. Um, but I all of the different predators I just named after different types of swords.
Nice.
I thought that was fun. So there was one that was like the katana, and then there was another one that was the scimitar, and another one that was like the falchion, and that was kind of fun.
Got myself crazy drawing that line. All right, so we got the Rinkosaur jaw, and then a branch off that is going to be this rapier-esque jaw.
Mm.
Okay, and we can, let me, that is excessively large. That's terrible. All right. And then they will be insectivorous. And we will have a kind of insect. Oh, there he looks. And we will have. Oh, he looks mean. All right. Well, he's small and eating insects. I mean, he's got a bit of an attitude in order to stay around. I think they're getting worse. All right.
Still better than the little doodles I make when I'm thought mapping.
All right, and they are going to be insectivorous, which is good.
Mm. Although with a beak like that, you could, well, one thought that immediately occurs to me is we could end up with some arboreal representatives.
Yeah, all right.
You could have essentially the equivalent of a woodpecker or my beloved drepanosaurs. Where they'd like, yeah, I believe the consensus is still that drepanosaurs used their beaks to extract insects from within plant tissues, but there's so much about drepanosaurs that just don't make sense. So
he's not as bad as I thought he was. Excellent. And then so there we go. Now with the Rinkosaur jaw, we have established the rodentesque and reptile-esque group. Because, a lot of like lizards and stuff like that are eating insects, which is wonderful. And then, a lot of rodents and things eat seeds and, stuff like that. So we've got the little guys as their own sort of distinct group. Though, I mean, because some of them are going to be, somewhat herbivorous, I mean, we can get some larger ones, like,
it is
capybara-esque.
Sure, or even like, what sort of time frame are we talking about in terms of from the ancestral form to the modern state of things?
So the mass extinction is kind of a series of events over like 25 million years where the continents kind of coming together You
Mhm.
have a lot of volcanism in things. You have acidification in the oceans and whatnot. And then after that, you have glaciation and cooling. And these two things that are happening uh, cause this die off over between 100 and 75 million years ago. Um,
Okay.
so there can be some, there's going to be some diversification during that period. Uh, I suspect that these little ancestral guys will, during that period of time, they'll be, getting into different strategies to help them exploit some of the food sources that are more hardy during some of the
Mhm.
climactic episodes of that period. Um, we also have the metamorphlora spreading kind of, I guess, at the tail end of that period as well. I guess much like grasses uh, are quite recent. What was it, like
Mm.
65 million years ago, something like that?
Yeah, well,
55?
grasses as a whole are like 50 million years old,
Yeah,
but
okay, 50. Yeah.
they only properly like took off within the past like 10 million years. Like the concept of what we would think of as like a grassland is like a
Is,
really amazingly recent thing.
yeah. So a lot of the current um, ecoregions and biomes are quite recent. So they would
Mhm.
have happened after that kind of 75 million years. So
Sure.
it is, yeah. So,
Mm.
75, 70 million years is kind of the,
Cool. So that's quite a decent time depth to get lots of radiation and diversification and things. And so, one just while I see this, so the predecessor to grasslands would have just been.
oh,
I'm
right.
not actually sure in the Cenozoic if there was like a single plant that filled the role of what we would think of as grass today. It could have just been like mixed shrubland sort of stuff. During the Mesozoic, the age of the dinosaurs, it was largely ferns that filled that role. So there would have been large fern prairies,
Fernlands.
which I know for a fact was a real pain when filming Walking with Dinosaurs because they had to constantly find places where there was no visible grass, which is very difficult. And so one of
Have
the
to CGI in ferns.
so apparently New Caledonia is a very good place for that. Um, but the other thing, which I've now immediately forgotten, what we're talking about, radiation. Oh yes, um, something that I am quite fond of that I tend to do quite a lot is to have one by the time of the modern period, one group that's kind of on the decline and another group
Hmm.
that's kind of in the process of replacing them. So we could very easily say that there's originally, just off the top of my head, um, there's one group of predators, of the big macrophages predators that comes from the um, I don't know, the God, why are words failing me? The leftmost branch there, um,
Yes. The
the
Rhynchocephalian group.
Tuatara one, yes,
Yeah.
and maybe they for some tens of millions of years they were like the top dogs in terms of all the major megafaunal predatory niches, but in the last like 30 million years or something, that they've been on the decline, and maybe one of the rhynchosaurs, the beak mouths ones. Maybe some of them, even though they were originally insectivores, maybe some of them adapt those beaks into these sort of blade-like structures and start, actively hunting and
Yes.
like impaling larger prey. And now they're kind of rising up the ranks, and they're sort of like this new breed of predators that's coming along and slowly displacing the other ones. I just always like that kind of flavor.
I was originally thinking that the uh what was it? That the like the cursorial kind of like the pursuit predators that the humans get
Mhm.
along a commensal pathway would have these kinds of beaks. But now, thinking about them as I don't know, living arrows or atlas darts that they just kind of like fire with their beaks. Um, oh, now it's giving me conlang ideas.
Hmm.
That is fun. Okay. No, yes, I do like
I
this.
actually have one. Am I able to share screens or share a file or something?
You can open up you should be able to open up your own share screen in that bottom row.
Like if I do that,
Yes. And then I can throw it up, I think. I need to remove my other media and then I can add your media. Ayo! Yeah. Dope.
yeah, this was the pretty much the same sort of idea behind the Spathodons, which are these vicious little things, which I kind of imagine them as a cross between like a woodpecker and a rabid weasel, where they've got these just vicious pedipalps that are adapted into this sort of beak-like thing, and they just explode out of the undergrowth, and then in just a crazy series of just like scissoring snaps, and just they just impale their prey to death. They're just very, of course, the natural world is immune to our judgments about it, so they're not truly bad. But just I like to think of these things as like the closest thing to an evil animal on this planet.
Well, it would
The kind of
certainly
thing.
be terrifying to encounter.
This is the kind of thing that, like, if I don't know, somehow Mordor existed on another planet, that this would be like one of their steeds or something.
Yeah, they'd ride them instead of wargs.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. And with that, I think we're about an hour in. So
Oh,
let us engage in, the proper veneration of the green dragon whose golden tail is the sun. Um, you know, without the green dragon, we would not be here and nothing would be here. So we're going to take a break and think about the sun for I don't know about 5 minutes. Gonna grab a coffee.
hmm.
I suppose you're gonna have a cup of tea,
I shall
and
fetch some tea. Yes,
we will come back in about 5 minutes or so.
very good. See you shortly.
Okay, I am back. Bib, let me know if you're back as well. Also back. Excellent. And just a quick, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And oh, I lost my stuff. There we go. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and doing a comment or a hype also helps because there are hypes now.
Yeah, I still haven't actually seen one of those. I've heard about them, but
Your video was certainly hyped.
was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And if you'd like to see more of the Spec Atlas on Lands Unknown, you can always support me over on Patreon, where lower tier folks can see monthly updates and behind the scenes. Those in the higher tiers can see videos up to a week in advance, as well as a vote on the direction. So the first vote for the I guess what is it, Speculative Geographers Guild happened, and the guild's choice video is going to be flora of Arukia. So I'm going to spend a whole video talking about a variety of different flora across the different ecoregions and biomes of Arukia, and that's going to be a great time. And I'm going to start incorporating more of those. I think once I'm through dissertation hell, I am going to be doing Patreon only streams that are available to all subscribers, and those those who are enfranchised with voting rights are going to help with the direction of what we're going to be investigating in those live streams. So, and of course,
I was going to say, I have also thought about potentially doing patron only streams at some point, because I never looked into live streaming before the World Building Festival because the concept just terrified me. But then when the World Building Festival happened, I was like, oh, actually, this is doable. So
yeah.
maybe something for the future.
And you can also go check out Bib's Patreon as well. I believe the link is in the description.
Thank you very much.
Of course. So we are back, and I think the beaks for these guys doesn't suit being the mega carnivores as much, but we're gonna have better beaks, better sorty beaks, better bladed beaks.
It is a very adaptable structure. Like it
Mhm.
can be modified in lots of different ways to make it more suited for loads of different types of feeding, which is fun.
And I do like the idea that this group, which is kind of filling niches of smaller reptiles, and I guess some, birds and things, avian dinosaurs, get to come up from being these largely small creatures
Yes.
to being mega carnivores.
Yes.
And having a few of these ones kicking around, like the one I sketched, just holding on to some niches, but carnivorous niches, but then the other ones kind of coming up.
And depending on how you wanted to play that, you could have the older ones. It could be that the only ones that are left are the particularly big ones that are just so effectively, just by virtue of their sheer size, they are the ones that are still the most able to take down the really big herbivores, and so they're still clinging on in that way. So they're still the top. There just aren't as many of them now as there used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, they can just because of their size, they're going to be the largest and they can hold on to hunting the very large herbivores.
Yeah.
And we have also created a lot of herbivores for ourselves. um, so I think we may want to cut those up a bit. And we have an idea for these ones being a pretty, I think early on, especially, these could be like a pretty broad group because they're sort of parrotfish-esque beaks could be very good at chomping up a variety of things.
Hmm.
We haven't talked as much about these herbivores, and maybe as the carnivores with these fused bone structures are on the wane, the herbivores with the fused bone structures are rising.
Mm. Yeah. So the scales are sort of tipping in favor of herbivory for them.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, and trying to think of what niches, or maybe, yeah, because if we go back, what critter was it? There we go. I don't want translate to English.
Priosphenodon.
It's not letting me open it up or anything, but looking at this is a little useful. So it was arid environments. The only resident herbivore of arid environments. Okay. So perhaps we can let's go back to the climate map and look at perhaps we can have it where maybe the more maybe they're split up more by climate zone, perhaps.
Sure.
Or so maybe these herbivores, which were smaller and maybe more contained to these more arid zones, like the hot and cold, arid and semi-arid zones, where there'd be more like xeric biomes, with maybe some particularly hostile flora, like they've got spikes and
Yeah.
tougher tougher layers on the leaves and those sorts of things, and having these slicing beaks at the front to kind of get through that, and then being able to macerate it in the back is more advantageous than having these kind of crushing structures at the front.
I'm picturing something vaguely like the Madagascar spiny forests.
Okay. Let's get some.
There's I'm not actually 100% sure why this is, but there's like a specific ecoregion in Madagascar that has these plants
Excellent.
that, like, universally have like spiny surfaces, and a lot of them, things like baobabs are the classic example, but these, very squat, very drought resistant plants.
So I do have something similar planned. I've been calling them scale plants, where they're kind of with kind of look like have you seen monkey tail trees, or like puzzle trees?
Monkey puzzle trees, yeah, I love monkey puzzle trees.
Yeah. for the viewers at home, that's kind of the
Yes.
structure of these plants.
Mm.
And so having something like that where the leaves themselves, are very very thick. And not that thick, they're just not very pliable, right? Like they're
Yeah.
very hard and they have these sharp points at the end so they can kind of
Yeah.
deter predation.
You got to be careful when you're eating them.
And they do have in the puzzle trees, I think there's also false puzzle trees or monkey tail trees.
Ooh.
And the monkey puzzle trees have these cones on them that they have all these nuts in that are akin, I guess, to Brazil nuts. And we actually have a few of these trees around here. And sometimes they get pollinated. And if you get one of these cones and it has all the nuts inside, that's pesto for days.
Wow.
Oh, there we go. And yeah, all along the trunk too, you have the leaves coming out,
Mm.
creating
Wow.
these thorny surfaces. All right. So Madagascar spiny forests and monkey puzzle trees. All right, and then yeah, monkey puzzle. There we go. All right, so we have these sharp, spiny plants, and having, I guess, the long slicing beak can allow these herbivores to kind of
Yeah.
get
There are
through.
two different ways I can imagine them coping with that. One is to just have very long well, not even necessarily very long, but sort of elongated narrow mouth parts that are designed to like reach in and grip with the beak in a way that minimizes the um exposure of the face to these sharp points.
Yeah.
Something like the ones with the very elongate, like bird-like beaks, for example, could like probe between the sharp points to nip at the stuff in between. Or they could, because they do have osteoderms and scoots and things. So I
Ah,
imagine some of them might have like extra protection around their face, um, these sort of armored faces to prevent them from, accidentally getting pricked or stabbed with these plant structures.
see, that I like. And then we can get more interesting facial structures as well, cranial structures.
Mm, yeah.
And then because the world over this period of time is slowly cooling, and as it's cooling, the Köppen desert, so like this orange color,
Mhm.
retracts because again, it's a relationship. How we determine arid and semi-arid areas is a relationship between total precipitation based on time of year, where a majority of that precipitation is received, and then the annual mean monthly temperature. So as the temperature goes down, the amount of precipitation needed for it to be considered a humid climate goes down as well.
Mm.
So the amount of technical arid and semi-arid climate retreats, but as there's less CO2 and as there's less precipitation, And I mean, in less evaporation, we can have the spread of um, uh, the kinds of plants that are more adapted to a more arid environment.
Hmm.
So the plants that kind of emerged in these zones can spread out from them into, uh, you know, places that environments that are more humid, because they're
Sure.
much better at like maintaining their moisture in an abiotic environment that's changing.
Mhm.
And as those plants spread, these creatures can spread as well.
Yes.
And so maybe these sorts of ones are more uh, are more contained in the areas maybe along the coasts, um, that receive more regular precipitation, and
Sure.
that these plants don't exactly spread as much into.
Hmm. So there would be some, yeah, geographic separation, but
Yeah.
there could also be potentially some mixing, where in some environments they might find a way to undergo niche partitioning, and so they
Hmm.
specialize for feeding on different types of vegetation or feeding in different ways, so that they can both coexist in some environments.
And because we are going to have a lot of um, mosaic biomes where closer to more consistent sources of water, and we're going to have like annual rivers and lakes and wetlands and those sorts of
Mm,
things. There's going to be a lot of you're going to have gallery forests and those sorts of things. So
mm,
we can still see the kinds of plants that maybe aren't as efficient at holding on to their moisture in those areas because it's just more moist in those areas. And
yeah,
that's also the places we're going to see more trees as opposed to, mixed shrubland and herbland.
sure.
And perhaps, you know, we have these, the this herbivore group focusing more in on, you know, shrublands and herblands that have the those more
Mhm.
spiny ones. So you're going to have various uh, ecotones in different communities where we do see a mix of these things. So you can see the animals kind of more side by side.
Mm,
Um, and as these, I mean, especially in that region, we are going to see some interesting river systems from all of the glacier melt coming off here, especially from the rains that we get up here in the winter. So they are going to have like oases and some, large lakes and rivers and things. So there are going to be some trees in those environments as well. But it'd be interesting as those plants start moving more into these areas. We're going to get more of those trees.
mhm.
So we could have creatures that are originally grazers and low browsers become, larger browsers.
Mm,
And I've purposefully, for the monotrematoforms, I haven't done anything giraffe or sauropod esque. So we
mm.
could have some long necked griffins.
Interesting. Interesting. We do because we talked last time about there's going to be at least one biped, right?
Yes, we've talked about. Yeah, I was thinking about some of the herbivores being bipedal.
Yeah. Um, so is there a particular group that you would imagine the bipeds occurring among, or is that still up in the air?
That is still up in the air. I mean, either the parrotfish ones or the um, the rhynchocephalian ones is what I'm thinking. Uh, maybe the rhynchocephalian ones could be the bipedal ones,
Cool.
and if they're the
Um,
ones jumping into the scene, that could be interesting.
mm, um, yeah, because I'm just thinking like adaptations for high browsing, like the two um, most common, at least invertebrates. Um, Obviously, there's a longer neck.
Mm-hmm.
Something like sauropods or giraffes were very well known for doing that. Slightly less common is using the forelimbs, kind of relating to what we were talking about earlier, where something like my beloved calicotheres,
Yeah.
um, the infamous gorilla horses that had
Mm-hmm.
these really long forelimbs and they walked on their knuckles with these big scythe-like claws, and they would sit down and reach up and grab branches and pull them towards the mouth, which achieves exactly the same thing as having a long neck, just doing it in a slightly different way.
And
Um,
on, what is it? In
mhm.
Arukia, we've got the
Yes,
somewhat Calicothera inspired minotaurs who
yes,
have their long claws. They reach up in the various gallery forests to pull down branches and things as adults to browse in the trees.
I love it. Um, and then elephants had to just do the craziest thing possible and just turn their fuse their nose with their upper lip and turn it into a giant tentacle, which is not a particularly common strategy.
What do we have here? Tongues. Giraffes have very thick tongues that help them getting poked by acacia thorns. Yeah,
Hmm.
tongues could help too. I guess we.
Yeah. So the in crocodilians, um, generally speaking, the tongue is not very mobile. Um, it's more or less anchored to the floor of the mouth. So I don't know how much that would impact its ability to do the sorts of things that mammals typically use their tongues for. Like giraffes have very elongated tongues that they use to yeah, wrap around and strip branches of their leaves. Um, but I don't know off the top of my head how easy it would be to imagine that situation changing. I would need to think about that.
And I mean, since these guys just look like pseudosuchia, and when they come from, um, I guess, sort of more amphibian like critters, what's the because frogs, of course, are well known for their tongues being quite
True.
mobile. Uh, and I think salamanders and newts do that with their tongues too, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. In as
the
far as
grabby
I'm
behavior.
aware, in general, the tongue is a lot more flexible in most amphibians.
Yeah, I guess in these it would be less flexible than their semi-aquatic relatives.
Mm.
I mean, they do have their beaky teeth, um, which I think fulfills certain roles in like prey capture that the tongue would fill
Mhm.
in the kind of amphibian relatives. Um, but I don't think it would be as fixed, I guess,
Hmm.
as as our crocodilians. So maybe we can work tongues in. But I do really like the idea of having prominent uh, cranial structures that kind of protect them from
Yeah,
the various thorns and other structures that these plants have.
yeah, you could end up with. I know you already have various helmeted monotrematiforms,
Yeah,
but could end up with a sort of convergent evolution of a similar sort of thing, but for different reasons.
my the joke when I started earlier is like in I think we talked about this briefly, but when people arrive in like Zaalean or Rukia, they'll be like, oh well, these things are somewhat the same because they both
Hmm.
have they live on the ground and they have beaks and things. Um, so that could add to more of the uh, you know medieval taxonomy
Yeah,
where they're essentially doing platypus are fish or beavers are fish or whatever.
yeah,
Um, and meanwhile, the dragons that fly have you know teeth and they are not beaked and they don't have that kind of facial those kinds of facial structures. So I think that
hmm,
could be fun.
yeah.
Um, I've certainly not ruled that out. Uh, could we have? Oh, there's the dinosaur that both has long necks and the long claws.
Mm,
What are they called? And that was one I was looking at too when I was looking at the Minotaur. They have like the long claws and long. What is the?
oh, therizinosaurs?
Yeah,
Yes.
that could be fun.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that occurred to me when I was thinking about the biped. Um, because if it's a herbivore, maybe its freed up front limbs are used in some way in feeding. But yeah, we could do a sort of hybrid type thing like a therizinosaur.
And what is there? Oh yeah, they got the blade like ones, right? So oh no, blade ones are different, but they are going to have. I don't know. They can have some scoots or something on their things, and then they're going to have some sort of horns or whatever.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I also am not opposed to the idea of some of them looking kind of like dinosaurs, because I think crocodiles looking like dinosaurs is very funny and happened.
Yes, it has happened multiple times. And one of the interesting things about therizinosaurs is that they evolved from carnivorous ancestors.
Oh, there we go. And this is our main carnivorous group. So,
Mm.
like panda bears.
Yeah, a little bit.
We have a question in here. Are there any bee analogs? Yeah, I was thinking about sort of eusocial invertebrates and stuff like that. I think I'm introducing what the insects look like in the next video. We're gonna have a flying insect that well, no, the insect goes through several. I guess, stages where it eventually the adult form flies. But spending more time on insects is probably going to be something further down the line. And then I also have ideas about different kinds of colonies, though those are more marine, I suppose. And we do have arboreal body plans. We were talking about that with the more rapier beaked ones. Or I think the Rinkosauri one could work with an arboreal one as well.
And so, generally speaking, if you're going to be arboreal, there's two very broad
These
ways.
guys.
There's two like archetypal ways to do it that are complete opposites of each other. One is to evolve longer limbs, which helps you to reach between the branches like primates.
Yeah.
And the other is to evolve shorter limbs to help you essentially narrow your if you narrow the width of your body so that you can lie along a branch to reduce your chances of falling off. Something like a pine marten, for example. So we could go in either one or both directions for the arboreal one.
I think both directions may be interesting. I'm wondering, because this group, at least, okay, because then what are we doing here? I'm going to... These guys are in the same thing as this, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to reorganize some things so I can add some more stuff to our little messy cladogram here.
I wonder, because I'm just looking into it now, and as I suspected, much like dinosaurs, crocodiles, or crocodilians in general, are incapable of pronating their hands. So they might need to modify their limb structure for arboreality to help them give them a wider range of movements for gripping onto branches and things. Which could be interesting.
They have a lot of time to figure that out. All right, so we've got okay. So coming off of here now. Maybe I'll do that the other way. The carnivores, they're going to have blade-like structures, and they're going to be coming up. They're going to start at the bottom, and now they're here. So, and then the other idea is for the arboreal ones, because I was originally thinking, these arboreal ones could be more like, like a lizard or something like that. But they could have the longer limbs. I mean, I would prefer one group to go, like, if these ones, which are eating the seeds and those sorts of things, maybe were flatter and had the shorter limbs, then we could have these ones have longer limbs.
Sure. And something that I have a great fondness for no particular reason, I really love animals that descend from arboreal ancestors that have secondarily adapted to living at ground level. Things like gorillas. They're just
Us,
yes, it's humans.
famously.
Yes,
Some
exactly.
anthropocentrism there, Bib. I really love humans. Humans are
Oh,
great.
I've been rumbled. Um, but yeah, I don't know what specifically is about the concept that I really like, but yeah, if you had one of these long-limbed, sort of almost primate-like um, species come down to the ground, then you could end up with this. Whereas the original group of mega carnivores could be much sort of sleeker and uh, more typical in terms of their sort of outline. Then these things would be sort of long-legged, loping, almost kind of like the. Are you familiar with the future predator from Primeval?
Oh, is that like a bat? The bat one?
Yeah, it's the future bat,
The
which
future bat.
is not well.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it is a secondarily flightless large bat, which I really love the design of, even though
Hmm.
the eyelessness really doesn't make any sense. But just it's a sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you could end up with something vaguely similar to that.
And I was, well, yeah, because I'm still thinking, I mean, we can decide where the pursuit group comes from later, but, something more, something that people really, not really like, but something I notice is the carnivorous baboons, or like
Mm,
like hyper carnivorous baboons is something in Spec Evo I see frequently.
yeah.
So if these creatures are arboreal and then coming down and becoming carnivores, then we could have that sort of look as well.
Mm,
Um, but instead of the kind of menacing baboon jaws, they have sword beaks,
yes.
which could be quite fun. There we go. Baboons with knives. Um, oh, what do we got here? Currently making close examinations of geography on Yalus or Jalus. Uh, like what you were doing for Dove. Yeah. No, I think the regional climate studies are uh, important. I mean, normally, there's a decent amount of emphasis has been put on doing like a global map, and I think the global
Mm,
maps are really important. But doing like a lower resolution, like doing a quicker map where you're not detailing like every ridge or something of a mountain,
mm,
can be a lot better at actually getting you to a place in your project where you can actually start doing stuff. Like if you just have like a broad understanding of, oh yeah, like this place is generally you know uh, microthermal climate that's wet in the summer and dry in the winter, like that can give you enough to go on. And then if you've picked a region you want to focus in on, you can return to more regional climate dynamics and
mm,
um, put a bit more detail into how that works. And for the previous two live series that I've done, I did a close climate study of the Taiki Sea basin and Transmetrine Zalea, which we're developing the critters for right now. And so if you wanted to get some background on that, and I also talk about various climate phenomena. I talk about mapping winds and pressure and how currents affects things, and I go through some of the more finer points of Köppen, which some of the guides don't deal that much with. But no, that's if you're interested in that, then you can check out the old ones. And sometimes I talk about random stuff like the Great Divergence or whatever while climate mapping.
I am very excited to when I can finally start doing region specific stuff because, like,
Ah,
pretty much everything I've done with Tira at this point has been very broad strokes in terms of the actual specifics of the biogeography other than saying like, oh, well, this thing lives in rainforests. But okay, yeah, which rainforest? Like, there's
Yeah.
a very big difference between the rainforest that's on the east coast and the rainforest that's on the complete opposite side of the planet.
And then you also have a neat thing on Tira as well, where the northern hemisphere for the supercontinent has two peninsulas essentially, right? Like
Yeah.
the two arms that come out. And because there's, you know, water in the way, but also there's like a more arid region that kind of separates them. You know, you can have like a distinct realms in those two arms
Yeah.
with like an ecotone kind of between them where they blend. And what was I doing? Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to do that right now. So the carnivores that are coming up can have longer limbs coming from these arboreal creatures, which, yeah, they're insectivorous, but some of them, I guess, in their arboreal environment can become bigger and start going after some of their relatives,
Yeah.
those rhynchosaurs. But they could also hunt dragons.
Oh.
We could have dragon slaying arboreal griffins,
Wow.
which is metal.
The
For those of you who are
dragons,
joining, Dove has dragons.
the dragons roost in trees.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
these, like one, I can see one feeding behavior that may come up fairly often is ovivary or like egg eating. So they
yeah,
could be
yeah,
like
yeah.
specialist egg thieves, and then it's not a great jump from that point to taking down the actual live animal itself.
Drakivery.
Hmm.
And there we go.
This was the one of the issues I have with Tira is that there are so many terms that I want to use, but they're just technically incorrect, like insectivore. Like, okay, well, there are no insects. Or like piscivore,
Yes.
well, there are no fish. So I have to invent these sort of equivalent terms that I never know because I never want to like overdo it with the terminology because I think that turns some people off if you have to learn a bunch of new words in order to understand what's going on. But
Yeah.
also for the sake of technical accuracy, like with the most recent episode with whether or not I would allow myself to use the word synanthrope to describe them. Even though
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that.
yeah, we had a discussion about it.
And yeah, and you used by analogy, what is it? It's like
Tectophilus.
yeah, from
Yeah,
Myrmophilus or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, Myrmecophilus. I
Myrmecophilus.
was
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
no,
didn't like syntactic or syntectonic.
because that sounds like plate tectonic. That sounds like
Yeah,
a geology term.
exactly.
So, but yeah, and I mean, I don't know if I'll say like they're dracivorous in the actual video, but it will be, and there are going to be there's a whole group of dragons that I'm going to be outlining that are herbivorous. They're for the Urukian dragons, I'm calling them terrestrial or two-fingered dragons because they don't roost necessarily, like they're not in trees, they don't perch or anything like that. That's the one-fingered arboreal dragons. The green dragon is an example of a terrestrial dragon. Let me see where he's at. Oh yeah, there we go. The green dragons. I mean, this one's a hypercarnivore. So, where he is? There he is. But you know, they got the two toes, and they tend to live more on the ground than in trees and things. And
like
there is
Quetzalcoatlus or other Ashdod.
and there's a group of the two-fingered Urukian dragons that are like herbivorous and you know, who graze and browse and things like that, and they tend to fly around and follow you know, like the wet season when things are growing, so they kind of move between the hemispheres, and those are some of them move between hemispheres. Some of them just go, up and down mountains and things like that, depending on when different plants are sprouting and budding or what have you. So, these things could make the move from hunting arboreal dragons, particularly things like blue dragons, which are the frugivorous dragons who are living in a lot of these metamorphora trees as the primary dispersers and things like that. And then they can jump from that to eating things on the ground, which would be quite fun.
Mm.
And we also talked about the dragons coat their eggs with their toxungens.
Right.
So the dragons produce chemical irritants in a separate gland that kind of emerged from a crop-like structure and became a separate system that they then spurt out their mouths. So they coat their eggs in these substances to protect them from, egg-eating animals. So I think the longer teeth beak structure could help them avoid getting that on their skin.
Yeah, if they just sort of peck through the shell and then just suck out the innards without the toxin coming in contact with their skin, that would be ideal.
Yeah, and they'll have convergently evolved something with another group of critters that I'm detailing for the series.
Ooh.
What we got here? Thinking about Latin names for these groups and upcoming predators could be Spathognata. Ooh, sword. Spatha.
Yeah,
and there is
a sword.
Yeah. The Romans had a sword, Spatha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, or is that the Greeks?
It's
like I think it's a slightly curved sword.
I think it is actually Greek, but it comes into. It must come into Latin at some point because in Spanish, modern Spanish is spada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And Pistognata for the parrotfish beaks. I'm going to be using like conlang terms for the critters and just kind of choose a reference conlang based on the realms they live in. So that is my ultimate goal. So just having the common names as placeholders.
I think it was actually Dougal Dixon who started the trend of giving Greek and Latin scientific names in speculative biology. Like before that just wasn't a thing. I think that if you want to do it, you can totally do it. But a lot of times it can be more trouble than it's worth. And it's not really necessary. Like as long as you have a consistent naming scheme, it doesn't really matter how you're deriving the terms.
Yeah.
So.
And I do like adopting the sword, the blade analogy for some of them. I think that would be fun, and the Spathognatha really works into that. Though a falchion beaked griffin is also, I think, very both an homage to your participation and also like very evocative.
Yeah. And the one with the overbite with the distinct kink in its beak could be like a kukri or something.
Oh, a kukri beaked griffin. And then incorporating tinctures and then the different names for griffins from heraldry could be fun. We're about 2 hours in. I don't know how much sacred dragons are terrestrial, but at least one is celestial, and his tail is the sun. That is quite true. Well, this is the green dragon's body could be the planet. So, its body is the terra, the terra firma, and its tail is the sun. Um, that's how we could make that work.
Mm.
Uh, the green dragon is the land beneath our feet and the sun in the sky. You know, the inside of its wings is space, the shell that holds everything in. We can make a whole cosmology in 20 seconds. World building's never been easier. Oh, that will be. Oh, now I'm thinking about the logo. It could be a green dragon with its tail as the sun in the background. Um, how to start a religion in 10 live streams. But I think we set out to do what we were planning on doing in this stream, which was
Mm.
Jaws and the feeding styles.
Yeah, and we've got a pretty clearly delineated list of major groups that come about. So that's very good. Off to a good start.
Yeah. Next time, we can. Next time, I mean, we can do it. We kind of work in stages in chronology and say, like, this is, what some of the earlier forms look like, or what have you. I do think that for some things, like getting to the blade-beaked Gryphons who are arboreal, like, detailing what their sort of ancestral, like, rhynchosaurs are kind of like, that they, develop from, would be useful, and kind of getting that arboreal plan and maybe figuring out the hands would be good. Because I do have, what is it? I do have them here as being digigrade, though. I mean, they could easily be plantigrade. I'm not like the ancestral ones, and I don't think it's too much of a stretch to for if they are digigrade in their ancestral form, for them to go back to being
Yeah, I think
plantigrade.
that's completely fine. Like that's like bears did that.
Yeah.
Primates did that. Well, to some extent. Um, yeah, I think digitigrade is a pretty sort of neutral starting structure that you can adapt in various different ways. It would be an issue if they had already adapted for like ungular grade and already had the
Yeah.
equivalent of like hooves or something. That would be a bit more limiting. But I think
But I do
that's
want hooves to show up, which is why
sure.
I sort of couched being
Yeah,
digitigrade.
and we can totally do that.
Okay. And then
There are actually, I think, is it Bovarasuchus is the hoofed crocodile?
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was thinking about Bovrasuchus, and I was specifically thinking about who is it? I think it's like Nick's Illustrations, who's a
It sounds
paleo artist.
familiar.
Is a paleo artist who also does Spec Evo for Spectember or something like that, and has some pretty cool designs. I think did a Pseudosuchian recently. I think maybe last month, mid-April, did one. I check back occasionally, just for inspiration and things. Oh, and the one group that we didn't, and we can do this first next time, is the marine group.
Yes.
So I think that'll be the first order of business next time. Will be getting the marine group, and then sort of working through some of the earlier forms. Before we kind of get to, just maybe working a little chronologically through, and if we come to a form that I really like and want to be a contemporary critter, then maybe we can shift it around a bit.
Cool. Very good.
Excellent. So thank you again, Bib, for joining me in Lands Unknown.
You're welcome. It was very fun.
And thank you to everyone in the audience. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the Patreon and go check out Alien Anthropology, which is Bibliridion's current series. Carrying on with the neotexts as they develop out of the alien biospheres.
Yes.
And I just got my census. It's census time in Canada. So make sure on your census that you put that you follow the big green dragon, whose body is the land beneath our feet and whose golden tail is the sun in the sky. I will see everyone next time.
Bye-bye.